Good morning. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. This week is the last week before the day of Epiphany, which is typically celebrated on January 6th. And so I'm going to have my last of the Christmas stories, and this one will be about the wise men. I think the wise men is an interesting story. And I'm going to read a passage from the second chapter of Matthew that tells about the wise men. So again, second chapter of Matthew. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who was born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising, and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. And they told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently, and when you have found the child, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." And when they heard the king, they set off from there, and went ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. I think it's really interesting that these travelers are called wise men. According to the Lutheran Study Bible, wise men were learned men who tended to be counselors for rulers of kingdoms. So we have people from the east, as it says in Matthew's Gospel, coming first to Jerusalem, looking for this child who was going to be a ruler, and they wanted to pay him homage. Now you can imagine that Herod was frightened because he was the king there in Jerusalem, and he really didn't want another king to be born and take his place. But it seems to me all the people in Jerusalem were frightened, according to Matthew, and that would include the chief priests and the scribes. And it's interesting to me also that when Herod asked them, the chief priests and the scribe, about the king of the Jews being born, they told him of the same reference of the prophet, saying, "Yes, in Bethlehem, the king of the Jews will be born." It's in the prophecy. So now Herod was probably really worried about all this. And so slyly, sneakily, he asked the wise men to go to Bethlehem, find the child, pay their homage, and then come back and tell Herod where the child was so that he could also go pay homage. So the wise men went, and they found Jesus when the star stopped, and they went in. Now it's interesting to me also that the passage only says they found Jesus and his mother Mary. It made no reference of Joseph. In any case, they went in and they knelt down and they paid homage to the child. And then they gave him gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gold has been a valuable metal almost since the beginning of time. People have just put a lot of weight on its value. Frankincense is a substance that's used to anoint people. So if you want to say somebody is special, you're anointed. When we are baptized, we are anointed. When kings in the old days were crowned, they were anointed. It wasn't really a crown, it was more of an anointing. Myrrh was both used for anointing, but it was also used for embalming. And so with the gifts, you see gold being real valuable. You see two substances used to anoint, somewhat saying this is a king. So Jesus was born to be king, but also the embalming fluid to sort of forecast Jesus' death. So you got the whole life story in just a short while. The wise men were told, don't go back to Herod. He was trying to trick you. And so they left by a different way. It's interesting. These are learned men. So now we've had two stories. One of some of the most common people around, the shepherds, and now some of the least common people around, the wise men. And both of them came to sing the praises for Jesus, who was a baby. They are examples for us. It doesn't matter what our station is in life. It doesn't matter if we are the most learned, most knowledgeable people around. We should pay homage to Jesus. It doesn't matter if we are illiterate, low life, look down upon people. We should pay homage to Jesus. And yet, there's an awful lot of people that were like Herod who only wanted to do away with Jesus. And in fact, after he found out that the wise men left a different way, he had all the babies around Bethlehem up to 2 years old, male babies, killed. Now, Joseph comes back into the story. He's told in a dream, take the mother and child to Egypt. And so he does that. And Jesus does not perish in that killing around Bethlehem. But many mothers' sons were killed. And so we have the good example of the shepherds and the wise men, and the bad example of Herod, and our own choice. And I know that everyone that's listening to this is thinking, Jesus is the Messiah. He is the promised one of God. In fact, he is Emmanuel, God with us. But I think, in addition, we need to make that well known, because not everybody believes that or lives that way. And so here we have the end, for me at least, of the Christmas story. And we're getting ready now to celebrate Jesus' life until it comes to Good Friday and Easter, and the culmination of his service on earth and our salvation. So I hope you'll take this story to heart. I hope you'll think about the wise men. I've heard it said kind of offhand, these were wise men that came to visit Jesus. In today's world, wise people still do. I hope and pray that you will continue to search for Jesus, that you will know that he's here with us all the time, and have him entered into your heart and guide your path in all that you do. Thank you.